My name is Judy Niemeyer. I'm here to teach you how to use the Cgrdwr wedding ring templates. Before we get into showing you the cutting, what I want to do is tell you a little story about why we created these. Right? We have been designing patterns for about 20 years. We started out, our very first pattern was called the wedding star pattern. This pattern, everybody when they started making it said, will you please make templates? So we did the wedding ring, and I said, maybe someday. Then we did the flowers for my wedding ring, the same thing. They all wanted templates to help them with the trimming. So after the flowers for the wedding ring, I said maybe someday. Then one day we did the grandmother's wedding ring. Same thing. I finally said someday. We also have the Forever Yours wedding ring. Each one of these patterns teaches you a little bit different way to set together a wedding ring quilt. Then we did a couple bed runners. One of them's called the wedding ring bed runner. The other one's called the Bally bed runner. We finally made them. And I'm here to show you the process that we would use to use our templates. Right. On the back of the template pattern, there are some instructions here. These instructions are set up so we can do a standalone pattern. First, what I'm going to show you is how we would use the templates with our patterns, and then we're going to go through the steps of actually creating a quilt without the wedding ring, without our foundation paper patterns. Right. The first step here, when we design patterns, all of our patterns are designed on foundation paper. Once you get the units, the fabric sewn onto paper, you have to come back and trim all your pieces. So what everybody's been asking is, why don't you make a template so we can set it right onto the papers, and we have all of our little dots, everything lines up perfect with the paper. Then we're going to take our rotary cutter, we're going to cut the straight line here, and then we're going to come right in here and cut along the curve. We're going to cut this, and then we're going to twist this around to where we can get to the other side, and then we're going to cut right along here. This has made the trimming of the wedding ring quilts extremely easy. With the Cgrdwr non-slip gripper on the back, when you lay these rulers right on top of the paper, they will actually grip onto the paper, keeping the fabric and the paper directly underneath them. So this is how we go about cutting all of our arcs. We're going to set this one to the side. The next thing we do, on our foundation papers, we also have what we call a B unit. All right. On the B unit, we leave the corner papers on, and so we have to be able to get in here and trim in between the corner pieces. So we're going to set this one. This has been trimmed. We flip this over, and again, we're going to take the ruler and we're going to line it up. Each one of the white lines on here lines up to one of the lines on the foundation paper. We're going to lay that in position like this, and now it's easy for us to start right here along the edge and just do the inside trimming. We don't trim the whole piece at this time. And then we just cut off these ends. But we can get our inside curves set up. Then we're going to flip this around again, and we can lay it back on there. I should have just turned the board. And again, we're going to take this and we're going to trim off the paper along the outside. So those are for the arcs. The next thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how you would use it. If you were building the wedding star pattern, what you are going to end up with is you have a piece that looks like this. After the foundation piecing is done, you have to come back and trim off all the excess paper. So we're going to take a glue stick, because these little ends, I call them the skinny legs, have a tendency to move all over on it. So we take a glue pen and we just put a little bit of glue under the paper, between the paper and the fabric, and that holds those steady. On our Creative Grid template, we have the lines, the diagonal lines that match up with our wedding star pattern. So we're going to take these and line up the dashed lines. All 3 lines are going to line up. We're going to lay it down right on the corner, get it in position, and we're going to get a very accurate cut. We're going to first cut the curved edge. We're going to clean off the ends like this, which is a very nice thing, because a lot of people end up chopping that off when they don't have a template there. We're going to reach over here and we're going to clean that end off, and then we're going to do the curve. Okay, after we get that done, then we're going to pick up our ruler, set it to the side. We're going to grab just a traditional 6" by 12" Creative Grid ruler, and we're going to lay it down on the edge here, and we're going to clean up the straight lines. We're all very used to using straight edge rulers to cut straight lines, but we don't always have the benefit of having a curved ruler to guide us through our curves. We're going to flip this around, and again we're going to lay it right along that piece there. And now we have our perfectly trimmed center units for our star. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with the dark star. And I'm going to repeat this one more time, because in our wedding ring you also have to have a dark star to go with it, and I'm going to show you the pieces that you need. So we're going to flip this over. I've already glued the tips on this, so we're going to take our pattern, our template here, we're going to put it in place, slide it right down there, and when you get done building one of these patterns, you've done this about 80 times, so you get very good at positioning your ruler. We're going to pull the ends off here, and then we're going to take this, we're going to move it around on our turntable, and we're going to trim that off. Again, we set this aside, we turn this around, we place our other Creative Grid temp ruler along the edge, and we trim off our edges. We're turning it one more time, lift this up, and the Creative Grid, the gripper on it sticks really nice to the paper, so you don't have to worry about the paper sliding underneath your ruler. And now we have all the parts to the Bali wedding star. Oh, no, we do not. We have one more. So now we have our star units here. Then we grab the melon piece. The melon piece is the same. It creates a star in our pattern as well. It's part of the star, so we flip this over. Our Creative Grid template has lines, and it has dots as well as all of the holes. What you want to do is you line up these pieces. There's a line down the center that you can line up with the seam, and then again we're going to position our board so we can come in here. Very accurate curved piece cutting. Then we're going to swing it around, and again we're going to take this, slide it around. The other nice thing about this is when you're sewing on foundation paper, we all seem to believe that the paper doesn't shrink, but that's not true. In your sewing process, the size of thread that you use, the type of steam you use, can all cause a little bit of shrinkage, and the number of seams that you have in a unit. So if you get this piece and when you're done sewing it, if you lay the ruler on and it doesn't quite fit, it's because your piece has shrunk up just a little bit. So this is bringing you back to the traditional size of the unit. Because all of our templates and our designs are designed with floating points, it won't make any difference if it's a little bit bigger than what the paper is. It's going to come back at the right size. When you get all done with this, you're also going to flip. Once you start getting these pieces trimmed, you're going to flip these over, and there's these little holes in the top here. You're going to take a marking pen and you're just going to poke this down through this. And what this did is we just gave you all your registration points, so when you're ready to sew your pieces together, you don't have to look to see where everything's supposed to go. You're just going to put a pin down through these registration marks and start joining your pieces. Okay, so after we have used these for all of our patterns, we decided that we needed to come up with some designs that were standalone designs. And so on the wall we do have a few designs here that we've created, and I'm going to go through there. So this does not require any foundation paper, so you can still teach a beginner wedding ring quilt by introducing these very simple wedding ring patterns. You get your students ready and train them how to do all the curved piecing for the wedding ring. After you get through the training on the simple part of the wedding ring, then you can come back and you start training them how to do some paper piecing if you like. This pattern right here uses a 4-patch in the back, and we take the leftover pieces and put into the melons. This is the whole template piece, which was done with fussy cutting, and then we did our melons. We did our ring colors as a one color here, a blue, and we alternated the ring color. In this pattern we used 6 different ring colors, so every single ring is a different color, which takes 1 strip of fabric. In the pattern, the quilt up here, this one we added our wedding ring foundation papers to the background. We used 4 background colors, and this one we're starting a series of 2 color quilts as well. So we're going to start going through the instructions and show you how to make a wedding ring without the foundation paper. On the back, as I said before, there are instructions here, and I'm going to follow up with these instructions. The very first thing that it's going to tell us to do is to build a 4-patch. I'm going to get rid of all of my little scraps here for a minute. We're going to throw them on the floor over here. Right? Everybody that is watching this video, I'm sure you know how to sew up a 4-patch. And what we did is we actually took 2 color families here. And I don't have 4 pieces, but I don't think I need 4 pieces. So we cut a 6-inch square. We're going to sew 4 6-inch squares together out of each colorway. And now we have what we call a 6-inch 4-patch right in the center. We do our pressing, so all of the seams are pressed and rotated clockwise on the back. We take our Cgrdwr template. We've set this up to do a 4-patch crosshatch, and we also have a quarter square triangle here. So we're going to take the white lines on the Cgrdwr template. We're going to line them right up with the seam lines here. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn my board just a little bit here. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut off the ends on this side. So we're cutting off 2 end pieces. Then we're going to take the rotary cutter. Notice how I'm using a 60mm rotary cutter here. It slides very nicely along the inside of our curve. We're going to save these pieces because we make our melons out of them. Then without moving things, we're going to take this, and it did move a little bit because I bumped it. And we're going to line it back up on our seams. And then we're going to cut the end off of the next piece right here. And then again, we're going to cut like this. We're going to save this piece. Going to swing it around here again like that. I got to learn to keep my hand on this so it doesn't move. There we go. Then we're going to take our next piece, get it lined up. We're going to save that one, slice here, and then we're going to move it again. Right, so now we have our piece, and we now have our center all cut for our units. All right, Now we're going to take these pieces here, and because I don't have a sewing machine, we're just going to give you a demonstration. Actually, the way it's set up is these are sewn together, but because we use two values of color, we put the darks on one side, the lights on the other side, and we sew the units together. After we get those units together, we grab our melon template here, and we're going to place the melon template. There's a line down the center. You're going to line up that line, and then you're going to come in and you're going to line up the two holes along the edge, and that's going to center this piece for you. Then we're going to take our rotary cutter again, and we're going to trim right around the outside of this, and then we're going to move this around like this without bumping it, and then it rides on there really nice, and then we do this again. Okay, so now we've just cut our melon pieces out. All right, so that's the next step to our quilt pattern. After you get the melon pieces out, cut, I'm going to show you how we actually join. I do have an arc here that I cut. It's an A unit, and I'm going to show you how we actually join these pieces. We have our very center line here. We have this center line. I take a glue pen. We're going to take the glue, and we're going to put just a little bit of glue, and then I just press those two seams together right here. Then we're going to take this glue pen, and we're going to, or that end there, and we're going to glue the fabric to the paper. Now if you don't have paper there, then you don't have to put the glue because you're just working with a piece of fabric. We're also going to do the same thing on this end. Then we're going to take and we're going to run some glue along these edges. And remember how I told you about those registration marks? Well, if I was to take this and put my registration mark on there like that, then I would know exactly where to line up my piece, and I can take this registration mark, and again we'll just go like this. I know exactly where to put those. I don't even need a pen. All I have to do is come in here with my glue, and we're going to take this piece like this, and we're going to match those two marks and just take my finger and push the two pieces together. Then we're going to run our glue pen right along the fabric like this, and we're going to work this, the two fabrics, and we're going to match up the raw edges along that curve. Okay, and then we come back here and we do the same thing where we grab our registration lines, and we're going to slide it on there, match our points, and then again we're going to roll this along like this. This is a great little trick for beginners who don't really understand how to get the edges together. And now these pieces are actually ready to take to the machine and start doing your curved piecing. You can get them all set up and chain the whole works, all right? And that's how we get our curved piecing started. So the next thing we're going to do is this one was actually cut and trimmed with a 1/4 square, all right? What we started with is we have our 1/4 square triangles. The instructions tell you here to cut a 13-inch square. You can cut that square out of as many background fabrics as you want. You're going to take a big ruler and you're going to cut it diagonally to where you are making triangles. Then you come back and you sew all the triangles back together. This one we have 4 different colors in. After you get the triangles put together, you're going to press the back. All the pieces are going to be pressed clockwise. You lay this right down the center. We line up all the seams, get it right in the middle. And again, and if it's not quite hitting because you've stretched it, just move it around a little bit and push it where it needs to be. And again, you're going to start your cutting, and you cut the ends off first, and then you come in and you're going to do all your trimming. Yes, you're going to save these pieces because you're going to use those to make melon pieces out of. Then we're going to grab the next one. Okay. And the next one. When you are done, these fabric template pieces are so accurate. I am impressed. I just am really thrilled about the way the templates turned out, and I can't wait to keep showing all of my students how to use them. All of these will be made into melons. All right. So the next thing we have to do here is, what if we want to keep all the pieces together? What the instructions tell you is to cut a piece of fabric that's 15 inches wide across the width of your yardage. And so if you're cutting, let's say you wanted to do a quilt that had 16 of these pieces, background pieces in your quilt, you would stack all of your strips together, and then you're going to position the template piece right in the middle like this. You're going to set the melon pieces in, and you want to slide it over so you're not on the selvage there. And then you're going to, this one comes out of here, this one out of here, and this one out of here. So because we've layered everything, it's worth our time to actually take and cut right along this, and then pull these to the side and come back and cut them later. So you have very accurate cutting for the whole thing. Once you get this grouping done, then you would slide it over, you would move your template piece to the next position, and you would cut. And each 42-inch strip will give you 3 background pieces and 10 of the melon pieces to create out of one strip. All right, and we're not going to cut this one at this time. Okay, I think you guys all know what I'm talking about there. All right, so now we've cut all of the background pieces, but we have to start cutting all of the arcs as well. So in this pattern up here, we actually took and made every ring out of a different color. So we have 6 different strips here. The strips are cut at 4 inches wide. You can cut a 4-inch by 11-inch rectangle, and you would place your melon piece on top like this, and you would cut around that. But if you do a strip and you're looking for 4 out of the same one, then you need to arrange the pieces on here a little bit. So I'm going to use 2 pieces that have already been cut and show you how this is done. So one piece is going to be arranged like this, and the other one is going to be arranged like this. So once you know where to position the ruler, then you can come in here and place your Cgrdwr ruler in the down position. We clip all of our pieces together so that they don't slip, so you can just flip those pieces back like that from the binder clips. And then we're going to take this piece right here, and we can take our ruler and we can actually cut through 12 layers of fabric. All right, and I need to lift both of my tops so I can get a deeper cut on this. Okay, so now we're just going to pull this back out of the way, and then we're going to come over here, turn this board, and again we're going to slip the ends off. I'm going to swing it back. I'm going to slip the end off of here, and then I'm going to turn this so I can get a good grip on my ruler, and then again we're going to roll right around there through 12 layers. Of course, realize that you do have to have a sharp rotary cutter when you start this. Now you have 12 perfectly cut pieces. So now you're going to take this piece here that we left over here, we're going to flip the back part off of this so these are standing up, at this point, and we can probably just pull that clip off. Place this in position there. So now we know where to start, and we're going to do that again. All right. So we're going to move our ruler here like this. You've got to put some weight down on it. You're going to trim like this. Then you're going to trim the ends. Not everybody can cut through that many layers, but you can choose the number of layers that you want to cut through. If you're more comfortable doing 4, then do 4. If you want to do 10, do 10. If you want to do 6, do 6. There's no rule to how many you can actually cut. So now we have all of our rings cut for our patterns. Now we have one more piece that we have to take care of. For all of our wedding ring templates patterns that are done on papers, our corners are always attached to the papers, what we call the B unit. And after you get all of the curve piecing done, you come back and you add the corners. So with a creative grid template, you still have to come back and cut these little corner pieces. And this is your corner section right here. It's the perfect size. What you do is you just get a strip, and I cut my strips anywhere from 2.5 inches to 3 inches, and it depends on how many I want to cut at a time. And then I just take all my pieces and I stack them like this. And if I don't care about being wasteful, I just take and fold my pieces over like this. If I have to take care of my yardage because I need a certain number out of a strip, then I very carefully cut them to the size I need. All right. Right now, I'm just going to cut like this. Right. We're going to take this template. Now you can actually be so accurate with the cutting here that you can cut this edge and flip it over and place it right along that piece to cut the other one. Right. But I'm just going to do 4 pieces at one time here out of the center of these blocks. So we're just going to do that side. Then we're going to do this side. We're going to do this one. And now we have all the little square pieces that attach to the end of the melons. That's the end of our video today. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me cut all of these pieces out of our new templates. I'm so excited. Thank you very much for this opportunity.